Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 3 of Build and Grow Money Matters, a series dedicated to helping businesses go beyond financial management to achieving financial growth, resilience, and innovation. As businesses continue to revive and pilot to newer models in these tough times, your story is proud to partner with HSBC for another season of inspiring conversations, insights, and observations. We feature some of the newest trendsetters in business and stalwarts of the ecosystem to help businesses power their next phase of growth and business continuity. Joining us today, we have Saumyajit Roy, co-founder and CEO of Emoha Elder Care. Hello, Saumyajit.
Hey.
His passion for elder care and the product design construct of Emoha emerges from his personal experiences of taking care of his parents, in-laws, and years of working with elders across the country. Being actively involved in industry advocacy, he is currently the co-chair of the CII Task Force on Senior Care and the founding board member of the Association of Senior Living India. Somajit has also been a founding member of the award-winning Ankara Senior Living as part of the Max India Group before turning into entrepreneurship. Welcome aboard, Somajit.
Thank you, Madan. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thanks, Somajit. Let's begin with your backstory. It's quite a story from just the last 2 years. We believe you have 400 carers, 500 doctors available online. You're serving 3,500 elders across 80 cities and towns in India. How did this come about? Tell us a bit more, Somajit.
I genuinely feel that this is not a story of 2 years. It's a story which has transpired across, I would almost say, my childhood and childhood of five of my fellow founding team members. We are entrepreneurs who have lived parallel lives in different fields. From Captain Harsh and Dr. Manreet, who have been in the Indian Navy, and having had been in the elder care entrepreneurship for more than 5 years, and then merged and joined us in 2019, to Sama, who's my chief product officer, who was working in the US and then turned entrepreneur to take care of our parents, in Kashmir in India, to Neha, who's the CEO and co-founder of Epoch Elder Care, which is part of the continuum. We are essentially entrepreneurs who've been in this space for many years, more than some 10, some 15 years. And it just happened to be destiny that in early 2019, when me and Rohit Bhayana, who's my co-founder and the managing principal of Loomis Partners, came together to think of what can be done to really create a differentiated, tech-backed, sustainable, engine for elder care in the country. We also happen to meet such world-class people with whom this can be designed. And that's how Emoha came together. So it's not a really two-year story. I think many of us have started our journeys in elder care 10, 15 years back. And I actually recount my own childhood when I grew up in Ranchi. And I used to frequently go to Cal, where my grandparents used to stay. And I've seen how my both my maternal grandfather and paternal grandfather, I've seen a lot of the challenges that they've gone through, seen through my parents now. And all these little stories of how grandparents went through an accident early on. Parents have seen through many other things, and they've had very good professional careers. Mom has been a principal, dad has been a CEO of a manufacturing company. And yet post retirement, challenges come in which are disproportionately high. Elders in this country live a very, very, suboptimal, disconnected life. So all of this has been, I think there's been marinating over many years. But then culminated with about 10 years back when I started working in the elder care field professionally, and seeing both my mom and dad at a personal level and seeing thousands of elders across the country at a professional level, it get played in my mind. So 2, 3 years back when I turned entrepreneur and started working in this space, it became evident that there's something that needs to change. We can't let elders in this country, just pass away the way people are passing away today. We need to think about how we can take care of elders in a different way. And Emoha came from that thinking process.
Thanks, Somjit. That's such a beautiful, compelling story, a very inspiring one, I'm sure, for our audience. Now, tell us a bit more about the kinds of services you're offering. It seems that with just a single click, you can get access to health, emergency, social engagement, convenience services at home or in your centers. How does it work? How does it all come together, Somjit?
So at the root of Emoha, it's a home. If you turn around the word Emoha, it's a home. And much before stay at home became a common, word, 2 years before COVID, when we coined the word, we knew that elders are most comfortable in their own home. You would recall that if somebody goes abroad or if somebody is in the hospital, What does an elder say? I want to go back home. I don't want to stay here. I want to go back home. It may be the most beautiful palatial house in Florida, but they'll say, I want to go back home to my little house in Indore, So a home is where memories are there. Home is where the elder has all his, everything is there in that place. They are most comfortable with their friends and community. And it's like a tree which is rooted in that, in that piece of, area. And therefore, how we can make the home the center of the elder's life, how we can stitch all the broken parts around the elder is what Emoha is all about. We've taken 5 elements: emergency, health, safety, support, and engagement. And because these are literally the 5 things that an elder needs to be able to have a good quality of life. And these are things which are much before COVID. So when COVID happened, it only became accelerated. Today, for people who need oxygen as an ambulance or an ambulance in an emergency, was earlier falls. Falls continue to happen. 40% of elders have a fall. So if you have solved for emergency, we've solved for today the kind of challenges that elders face. Every day we are saving 4 to 5 lives now, almost every day. Yeah, and that is because the system is designed for emergency management. System is designed for quickly taking action when an elder has a problem. So all our services come in the form of a bundle where there is a membership that is at the root of everything. It's called the Empower membership, and basically means empowering an elder to stay at home for as long as they want. And this Empower membership entitles them for, a virtual daughter who calls them every day, check on with them, check that everything is fine, check that anything they need, needs to be done. And this becomes a gateway to many other things in the whole Emoha continuum. Somebody needs doctor, somebody needs a concentrator, somebody needs a cylinder, somebody needs lab, medicines, a bed, an isolation bed. It becomes a gateway. The gateway acts to open up everything else that Emoha's ecosystem is there for offer to the elder. But that's just one thing. So it's the care calls that happens daily. We've done more than 100,000 care calls. Besides that, there is a range of emotional well-being programs that happens 3 times a day. And we've done more than 900 such programs, which keeps the elder, kind of emotionally stable with friends, of a similar nature. So we enter in with a membership. The membership is 999 rupees a month. Entitles you for all the access to all the things, especially more with the kind of COVID care support systems we've provided. We've upgraded some of the support services on clinical, on COVID support, on pharmacy, on oxygen and everything, because what is required in today's time. But the membership has remained the same. The same membership protects, keeps, the 700 elders completely safe, secure across the city and across the country.
So Saumyajit, I think people see the value proposition very clearly now. But what was it like in the earlier days? Were children comfortable in signing up for this kind of a subscription? Did you have to educate the market, convince the market in some way, Saumyajit?
So Madan, we've gone through various phases. Our first phase is what I would call is the concept phase. And in the concept phase, we knew what we were doing because we came from, the elder care space ourselves. But we knew very well that success is to be able to get elders to accept it. Children would obviously want it. Children would want to know about it. But the true success is when the elder himself is buying it, when the elder himself is, kind of ongoing subscribing to it, renewing the subscription, because then it means that the end consumer is happy with the product. And that is what we eventually did, that instead of just targeting the youngsters in the first phase, we targeted elders. We focused on the elders. We focused on their comfort, their health, their safety, their needs. And now in the last, I would say about 7-8 months, there's a lot of focus on getting children to be aware of how they should think about taking care of their parents. Most children don't know. Most children, when I'm saying 40s, 50-year-olds, they have not experienced what it is to take care of people in their 70s and 80s, right? We are trained better to look at child care, but we are not trained to look at elder care. And therefore, making children more aware of what are the kind of signs that you need to watch out on? What are the kind of symptoms that you need to watch out on? How can you know that your parents may need emotional support or physical support is something that we help the youngsters get to know more. So we've seen now a lot of youngsters paying for the membership directly, but our early sales was more parents, and it's shifting more towards children now.
Thanks, Somjit. That's a very good insight right there for the audience. A lot of people talk about childcare, but not many people know enough as they should about elder care. Now, Somjit, a bit earlier you talked about the COVID pandemic and some of the initiatives that you're doing. Tell us a bit more about how grave the situation is. How did you switch to offer new kinds of services, and what challenges do you face day to day in this situation, Somjit?
I think the situation is grave. We've been receiving, and all of us have been hearing enough and more. But I think the key passage that I would like to say is that, there is nothing to, while the situation is grave, I think it is something you can take control on. You look at the numbers, not more than 16, 17,000 people have actually died in Delhi. This is a Delhi population is 30 million people. What does it mean? 99.7% people are alive. 1.1 million people are affected, but 1.09 million people have also recovered. So it's not like everybody is dying in the street. Okay. But I think the awareness of what to do, what are the various things that you need to do? What are the various stages of the disease? What are the things that you should do to be able to take care of yourself? I think the awareness level is just not there. So there is a panic that has got set in. If I don't have cylinders in my home, if I don't have a concentrate in my home, something is going to happen to me. I think it's a very, very wrong way of looking at it. I think there's a science. Emoha has the experience last 1 year. We've been taking care of hundreds of COVID related elders who got COVID in other parts of the country, in NCR. And therefore, the coordination between the clinical aspects, the emotional aspects, and the coordination aspects of getting your medicines and pharma and everything in place, this loop is what takes care of COVID for any elder. Most probably everybody, a lot of people will have to go through the disease in some format. Nobody can say that I can save myself completely protected. But I would ask that, have you thought through your support mechanism? Have you thought through your plan in case something happens? Have you done the requisite tests that can, it's not just RT-PCR. Any clinical person will say that it's not just RT-PCR which, safely tells you that you are fine, because there are enough and more false negatives and positives, right? So a battery of tests, especially because elders have comorbidities, is very important to know that you are fine. So the moment you come into the Emoha system, you are able to be taken care of because we know you. We know clinically who you are. We know what are the past diseases, the complications and everything. And we also emotionally know who you are. We know आपके घर में कोई help नहीं है. We know that there is no support system at home. So in our case, the virtual daughter, the real daughter, and the doctor, I call it the 3D model. So this 3D model actually ensures that the 15-day period of COVID is nicely navigated, and it's a navigation, by the way. If you miss the first part of this 15 days, you could lead to a situation where the numbers can suddenly start tanking. We already hear about SpO2. There are so many other parameters, right? Especially in elders' life, so many parameters. You could be taking medicine, your sugar could be crashing. So how do you clinically manage the symptoms over the 5 to 10 to 15-day period so that you come clean out of it? And you don't have to worry and stress about, oh my God, how do I get medicine? How do I get a home health? How do I get this? How do I get that? I'm very clear when, me or my team tells to a person that we can't promise the moon. We can't promise that oxygen is there and cylinder is there because it's not there. But the first moment something comes in, if you're on the queue, it will come to you. That's the way we see it. And therefore, being on the membership helps my members to be much, much better off compared to others who don't have any access. And suddenly, if something happens to you in a COVID situation, which is what is happening to a lot of people, and suddenly you see your oxygen levels dipping, it's very difficult to protect that person at that point of time. You can save yourself if you take actions much in advance. That's my little point that I would like to say. Obviously, every day is harrowing. From morning, literally from morning 6 till late night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, everybody in the team is working 24/7. There's a lot of all kinds of crisis, but the team is on the ground. 50% of my leadership team is down with COVID, but with COVID, they are working on the ground. So many of my team members are down with COVID, but they are still on the bike doing their job because that's why the company got created, to take care of elders. And that's what we are doing. We will be there on the ground. We will not shy away. In the last 10 days, the COVID isolation hub that is getting created here is again a testimony to the fact that this is something that was exceptional. It was not something planned, but we felt the need, we got the right partners, and we are going to make it happen. That is how we see it.
Thanks, Saumyajit. So inspiring to hear your message and also the sobering advice of don't panic, focus on the basics, focus on staying preparation and on planning. Tell us a bit more about some of
Absolutely.
the systems you have to connect senior citizens to each other. We believe you have something called the Army's buddy system or something of that sort. Can you clarify a bit more with that, Saumyajit?
So this is not credit to us alone. The army and the defense forces for the longest of while have had a very simple system of having a senior, officer left behind when the regiment goes to the war, and this officer essentially takes care of everybody's families, from small things like somebody's admission to somebody's parent has passed away to some, small little things. And that is this family support system which inspires us to build it in a civilian context. You will all know that in a defense context, people have very good support services, which is not there in the civil context. So in our civilian context, what we've done is, and this is something coming from Captain Harsh and Dr. Manreet, who have really been the pioneers of this, concept in the past. And when they joined in as part of the founding team, Captain Harsh is head of operations for me, and Dr. Manreet heads all clinical operations. Both of them, have been able to really master the ability to have defense force people and paramedics be able to do a variety of activities for elders, ranging from, I need to go to the Gurdwara, I need to go to the hospital to, my RT-PCR test or my HRCT test is already there. Somebody can go and bring the report back because the elder on his own cannot do these things. You need a support system for that. Today a husband and wife where let's say the wife is in the ICU and the husband is at home or vice versa. There is so much logistical challenges. And if the son and daughter are abroad, how will you manage all these things? Who will pick up the car, take it to another place? And that's where the care buddies who are part of Emoha come into place. They are able to, kind of help the elder at the time of need. And these guys, right in the spirit of defense forces, they are trustable, they're dependable, they are available, they're disciplined, and they will do it. And that's how the language always translates into action, and elders love it because they know that ek baar Emoha ko bol diya, it will get done.
That's a great system to adopt, Saumyajit. We also heard about something else called a virtual daughter that you have. Is it like a virtual child? Is it how exactly does it work? What are the thought behind this virtual daughter system?
It's very personal. So my sister, who stays in Kuala Lumpur for the last 25 years, she's married and she stays there, is more better connected with my parents who stay 2 kilometers away from where I stay than myself. So this has been there for many years, and she knows more about what is happening in my parents' house than I do. And I have seen this pattern in many homes. The daughter really knows what is happening. And over the years, as we researched, we've seen that globally, 80% of primary caregivers are women. Globally, India, I think the percentage are even higher, which means that the wife, the spouse, the daughter-in-law is actually taking care of not just their parents but their in-laws and so on. And I'm not saying taking care in the sense doing household chores. It's being responsible, being accountable for all the things that are going to happen. And in many ways, Emoha symbolizes that same mission because like a good daughter, we are always available. We are bringing energy into the house, cheerful, professional, and at the same time, if you tell your daughter that ye hona hai, she will ensure it gets done. So Emoha's brand got created around the concept of the virtual daughter. The virtual daughter is somebody who's always there, always loving, always caring, and yet educated, professional, very dependable, and will really be fierce to ensure that the work gets done. Imagine a daughter who knows that the concentrator is required and it is coming from A to B. She will not leave a stone unturned till the time it reaches the place. And she will ensure that it is installed properly, it is checked properly. That devil is in the detail, that diligence is something. I have nothing against son. I'm a son myself. I love my parents. But by and large, it has been seen that daughters play a very large role in taking care of parents globally. And we see ourselves more as a virtual daughter, taking care of the elders as a brand. So it is a virtual child, nothing against sons. We have lovely sons at Emoha who takes care of their parents. But as a brand, we connect more with the virtual daughter. And we have such absolutely fantastic, virtual daughters in more than 20 cities across the country, speaking in 15 languages. All of them have elders that they call every day. They save lives. They take care of such elders. And in case somebody needs anything, in today's times, most elders need something or the other. They become the point of touch for the elder and the real daughter. So it's the real daughter who may be staying in Boston or in Bangalore, the virtual daughter who is obviously part of the Emoha network, and the doctor who's the clinical, coordination desk. It is these three Ds which transforms the game, which ensures that the elders in the center and the elders' interests are always kept first.
Thanks, Saumyajit. There were some very deep insights you had. Can you share with us some other insights on people's willingness to pay and deal with digital, for example? One other consequences of the pandemic is this acceleration of digital, but apparently not many elders are as well versed with digital as, say, we are. So, what are some measures you've taken to make sure that elders are comfortable with interactions online, payment online, and things of that sort? Saumyajit?
And then we've had a very different story. We've had a story right from the beginning that we've always felt this, that elders will be very technologically challenged and so on. It's not true. At least in my community, and it's not like we have high net worth individuals. We have people from upper middle class to fairly senior HNIs as well. But by and large, the kind of operations that is required for somebody to be able to access Emoha systems is something. One, it is simplified. We don't have very complex systems. It's designed for an elderly usage. But people today in our homes and in their existing homes, they use technology for a lot of different platforms. And where they get stuck, they have the virtual daughter to talk to. So let's say, for example, they're getting stuck in, I'm not able to open something, access something. Can you help me to book a car? Can you help me to buy something on Amazon? We train them, we test them. We've also done sessions to help them to know if you get your iPhone stolen, how do you get to recover them? We've taught them, how they can have special apps placed on their phone, so that in case the phone is stolen, we get to know from somebody opening it, the picture comes to us and so on. So elders by definition have obviously a certain amount of technology challenges, but it's not true that they can't use it. Most of our elders are fine using technology, and we've also broken it into parts. We are saying that, look, it's not necessary that you have to be very, very conversant with technology. You can just press a button, we are there. So in many of our homes, there is a button, you just press on the button. You don't need to worry what is happening behind it. There is an app, press on the button on the app, we immediately come on action. So we've kept it very simple. It's a single one-touch button, press it, Emoha is there, the person on the other side knows you, and then we can interact and discuss whatever needs to be done. We don't want a 95-year-old or 85-year-old to suddenly start learning technology. It's not required. The gateway is simple. The back end is very structured, very complex, but the front end is very, very simple. You just have to press a button. That's it. That's how we see technology coming in. But I'm amazed to see the amount of penetration that has already happened in the last 12, 15 months of COVID. Whether it is access to Zoom or Paytm or Urban Clap or any other large e-commerce platforms, or a lot of our apps in Emoha itself, they're very comfortable using them. They don't see that as a major challenge.
Thanks, Saumyajit. Tell us a bit more about some of your future plans in terms of which cities you want to go to next. Apparently, there were plans to expand to Mumbai and Pune last year, but the pandemic derailed some of these plans, perhaps. So, are you going to go back to the cities sometime, or what are your plans?
So I was saying that last year when COVID happened around March 16th, we realized that the conventional approach of opening up in different cities will not work, because the country is getting into a lockdown phase, and we were forced to go back to the drawing board. In many ways, COVID was a little bit acted like a chief innovation officer, which forced us to think through how we can expand to other places without necessarily being located in those places. And that's what became the basis for a scale-based growth, where if an elder is in Ranchi, or if an elder is in Cochin or Bangalore or small places in Rajasthan and so on, the bare minimum concept of the product became such that all you need is a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop with a Wi-Fi connection or a 4G connection, and you are set to go, because you can receive the calls from our elder care team. You have a local emergency and a hospital ambulance system that is there on standby in the local area, and you are able to access a lot of the emotional well-being, activities and events that are there. You are able to access doctor calls and so on. So while physically we are not present, we are able to take care of a lot of the emotional well-being, a lot of their clinical support systems virtually. And in case there is an emergency, there is a local ambulance hospital system tied up within 3 to 5 kilometers of where the elder stays. So for us, when a member joins, Madan, is a very important aspect. It's almost like adopting a house. It's almost like the person has come into our family, right? So in our community, when somebody comes in, it takes about a week, 10 days for us to induct the person into the system. They get to know how they can leverage Emoha, and we get to know more about the family. Kaun hai, kaise hai? It's not adequate for us to know he was the chief secretary of Punjab. We also need to know whether he was a poet. What are his aspirations? What are his clinical conditions? What are his social conditions? Who are his friends? So this whole spectrum is something that we get to know. It's all there in our technology system. So that tomorrow, if I know that he's a Buddhist writer, in my community there could be other 10 Buddhist writers, and we have clubs online where the Buddhist writers could have their own little club. The spiritual can have their own club. The Bollywood can have their own club. Because behind all of this, Madan, there is a lot of science around, loneliness, which is perhaps the world's largest pandemic, many, many times bigger than COVID. COVID will get solved. Today, it seems like top of the mind because it is what it is. But loneliness is actually much, much bigger than COVID. And right at the beginning, we knew that what we are building is something that is going to be attacking loneliness at the root as well. So yes, we will be expanding. We will be expanding to the physical services to other parts of the city as well, other parts of the country as well. But today we feel very confident that the virtual services are also present in pretty much across the country in more than 80 cities and towns. And they can benefit from it. There is no reason why somebody sitting out of Kanpur or Lucknow or Agra cannot access the Empower services. You can easily access it.
Thanks, Saumyajit. One other big worry that many people have these days, you mentioned COVID is top of mind right now. The other one is vaccination. So what are some ways in which you're helping elders get vaccinated? What happens post vaccination, for example, Saumyajit?
We helped all our elders get vaccinated, the 2 shots. Some of them, unfortunately, could not get their second shot in place. A lot of them have got caught between the first and the second shot. But the biggest thing that I would say is that irrespective of the vaccinations or routine, if there is anything which sounds like there is a problem, immediately getting a battery of tests and everything done is a very, very important thing. So vaccinations is an important thing. Nobody is doubting it. But we've had enough cases where even after you've had 2 vaccinations, the person has fallen sick, right? So it's important to know that you need to be on a 360-degree monitoring system continuously. You can't afford to have your parents remain exposed and vulnerable to what is happening around us. When we were children, our parents did not keep us vulnerable. They protected us. This is the time for a child to step up and take care of their parents. And we are there as a guide to help them think through how they can do it, because they will not know how to do it. It's not an easy thing. There are many, many moving parameters. It's not just कि मैंने एक nurse भेज दिया है. If you just push a nurse or an attendant, it's not going to solve the problem. And today, nurses and attendants are also not there in the market. So how do you take up all the components, stitch them together, and deliver them to your parents so that your parents are fine? I think that is very, very important. It's not about vaccination. It's about the monitoring or the discipline of monitoring that gets in on a daily basis, which will take them through the whole, paradigm. And that's my recommendation. Stay protected, but in a systematic manner. It cannot be today I did this, tomorrow I did something else. That doesn't work.
So, Swamiji, you've identified many interesting trends for us today. Some are near-term trends, such as COVID, also the bigger post-COVID trends, such as loneliness and so on. So, overall, how big is this market space that you're addressing? How fast is it growing? And how are you positioning yourself in this space over the next few and many years?
So this is a very large market space. I call it the silver economy. Silver economy is 110 million elders in the country today. Anywhere between 40 million elders stay in urban areas. 10 to 12 million elders, have the right kind of affordability to buy things, and they currently spend anywhere between 25,000 rupees to 50,000 rupees per month. So even if you were to look at a million, million of the 110 million users, million out of 40 million urban users, who would be spending anywhere between 10 to 15,000 rupees per month. That itself is a 50,000 crore market. So it's a very massive, ecosystem. Currently, this ecosystem is being carved and served by components from other sources. So somebody needs a medicine, somebody needs something else. But a dedicated elder care engine, which is able to understand the elder in the center. We remain the elder's representative. We know the elder's needs. So unlike, let's say, for example, a hospital, which will look at the elder from a body part standpoint, a kidney problem or a brain problem or this problem. We look at the elder in its whole entirety, and not just the clinical, but the clinical and the social part. So this complete engine of clinical support systems and non-clinical support systems is anywhere between a 40 to 50,000 crore, business opportunity. Back in 2008-9, when me along with a couple of friends had started the Association of Senior Living India, there were 7 or 8 players in the country. Today, I feel very proud that this industry body that we started has more than 40, 50 members. A lot of work has been done. I was the co-founder of the CII task force, on senior care. So these are all industry bodies that got created. A lot of industry advocacy is being done. I'm part of the National Working Committee on some of the startup-related activities on elder care. And all these activities will slowly reveal, how big the sector can become. But it's not so much about numbers. I think what is required is deep passion and the interest to take care. Care is a very, it's a word which is commonly used. And in the world of elder care, it's not just healthcare. Healthcare is one part of it. Healthcare is one dimension of care. True elder care has many other dimensions, of which healthcare is one part. And the remaining parts are actually 3 times bigger than healthcare. Financial wellness for elders, for example, itself is a very large segment. The financial industry has not catered to the elders at all. It's almost like an afterthought for elders. How many products are there for elders which are dedicated for elders? Hardly any. So whether it is financial products, whether it is home-based solutions, whether it is clinical solutions, whether it is, so all these solutions in its entirety is a silver economy, segment, which is very large. It's a very, very large segment. And globally, it's a multi-trillion dollar economy, well established. But I think we are getting there. As an industry, we are slowly getting there with the right kind of people, the right kind of entrepreneurs, the right kind of investors, capital, and so on. But we're still early days, I would say that.
Thanks, Saumyajit. For the last couple of questions, I'd like to focus a bit more on what you just mentioned, finance. So what would you say is your personal or professional relationship with money? What's your preference? Are you looking for a huge corpus for retirement or consistent healthy return on smaller investments? How do you look at this whole world of finance for yourself?
I think from an organizational standpoint, let me answer it from Emoha standpoint. This company has been created with a very, very deep commitment that the capital that is being placed in between, Loomis Partners, who's co-founded, Rohit Behana, who's the managing principal there, and myself. Obviously, I've co-funded the whole business. But at the same time, the thought process is to bring in the right kind of capital who truly believes in elder care and the potential of being able to create not just create an impact, but also creating a massive valuation engine. It is not that if you're working in elder care, it's a social engine or it's an NGO. That's not true. Worldwide, people in the elder care field are very, very successful companies, companies who do high quality care and are able to create massive enterprises. And that's what Emoha is building. We're building an institution which can stand on its own foot in a global terrain. So at a company level, we are definitely looking at, both having the right kind of capital partners and creating a massive, engine with more than definitely more than 1 million elders on the platform, 4 to 5 years from now. We are obviously at a journey where the hard work has been done. We've created the model, we've scaled the model, we are saving lives every day. So the model is now done. This year is all about how do we replicate it. And I think in many ways, we got tested by fire by virtue of the fact that COVID in the last 2 years, 1.5 years, has really made the system very, 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 robust on the ground. So I see the next couple of years creating a massive enterprise, taking care of all the various complex needs of the elder, but still keeping it simple, keeping it a simple membership-based model, an elder, technology app-based model where elders can use technology, elders can use various kind of sensors and systems in their own home. They can stay simple, safe, secure in their own home and leave all the complexities of life to us. That's our work. That they don't have to worry about it. But I do see this as a business where massive capital appreciation is going to happen. Obviously, as investors, more investors come into the company. They're already seeing it, and they will see the kind of appreciation that this sector can bring to them. At a personal level,
yeah,
my desire for money finished long back. So I don't, I work more for karma. I work more for self satisfaction. Personal desire for money finished for me long back. So for me, the ability to make an impact and help seniors in the country is 100 times more important than making money. People who know me very 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 well know this, that everything that I do it for the ability to make an impact and also to do it perfect. When you're dealing with elders, when you're working with elders, it has to be perfect. It has to be sharp. If you say that something has to happen by 4 p.m., it has to happen by 4 p.m. So how do you create that technological brilliance? How do you create the care brilliance is something that I get driven for. Money happens. Money will happen as a derivative. But if you chase money, money will not happen for sure.
So my last question to you would be simply, as an entrepreneur, what have been your experiences and expectations dealing with bankers, lenders, and financial institutions?
I think I've been very lucky. I think one, I didn't have to go to a lender or a financial investor. I was very fortunate that this word was not there in my dictionary. Rohit Behna, who co-funded and founded this whole setup, is not an investor. He's a equal partner and a mentor in the whole journey. And we have some very very small marquee investors who have come along the way, who are more not for the money but the kind of intellectual horsepower and the kind of traction that they can give to the business who come into the cap table. We have a lot of interest coming from international as well as marquee investors to come and become part of the Emoha's cap table, which we are actively discussing. But fortunately, I have not had to go through the classical round of working with lenders and a lot of investor crowd. I feel fortunate about that because obviously Loomis is taking care of capital requirements in the company. At the same time, I think we are also now at a stage where we know that the kind of capital that will come into Emoha will be the right kind of capital, because you need the right kind of capital to build global world-class institutions. And that's what Emoha is doing. So thankfully, capital is not the constraint. At the same time, would love to have the right kind of capital coming in, because then the thinking comes accordingly. So interesting times coming forward. I see the next couple of months becoming very, very interesting as we get into further series and so on. So looking forward to the next couple of months.
Thanks so much, Saumyajit. I think 3 key takeaways for us from this fantastic discussion are immersion, integration, and innovation, the 3 I's. Immersion, immerse in your target audience, immerse and truly understand the lives of elders to be able to serve them, for example. Second, innovate, come up with new innovative uses of combining technology with physical facilities and so on. And last but not least, integration. Make it all come together in a holistic manner so that people can see end-to-end value in whatever you offer our audience. Saumyajit, thank you so much for these very inspiring and insightful insights. Thank you so much and have a fantastic week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for spreading awareness on this very important topic. I think I just want to leave your wonderful, users with this message that please don't worry about COVID. Take charge. It's very important that you take charge. Reach out to us. We will help you with all the information that you need. But take charge. Take charge of your elders now. They are really vulnerable. And the country needs all the sons and daughters to really wake up and do something about their parents today. You owe it to them. But thank you, Madan. Thank you so much. And all the best. Stay safe.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Saumyajit.